I'm so proud that A Dog's Life is now sponsored and powered by Antinol. I've given green-lipped muscle to my fur family for over 15 years as part of the precautionary principle as learnt with the College of Integrated Veterinary Therapies. I switched to Antinol's Joint Care Pro a year ago, being so interested in its unique oil-based capsules, especially for Mr. Binks. He's taken green-lip muscle since I rehomed him, aged 2, 11 years ago, to support his long-term joint health, as green-lip muscle is species-appropriate and bioavailable. Antinol is backed by 25 years of scientific research. Each 50 milligram capsule simply contains its patented active ingredient, PSCO-524. This is extracted from green-lip muscle. This is the highly concentrated oil that's ethically extracted and contains all known omega-3s, including ETA, EPA, and DHA. Mr. Binks's stride is strong. He's active and happy. His coat is like a mirror, reflecting a healthy metabolism that's supported by this powerhouse of omega-3. So go to Antinol's website today and grab your 10% discount simply using my code AnnaWebb. Hello, I'm Anna Webb, and welcome to A Dog's Life that's powered by Antinol. On today's show, we're talking to a brand new concept called Pet Proov, and we're joined by Ira Moss from All Dogs Matter. Well, I'm so excited because we're recording a podcast. It's a group podcast today with the amazing team from Pet Proov and Ira Moss, the CEO of All Dogs Matters, joining as well.
Hello.
So we've got on the celebrity squares I'm looking at the moment, we've got Kate Margolis from Pet Proov and Garry Clarke from Pet Proov. Hi, guys.
Hi, Anna. How you doing?
Really good. So we've also got Ira Moss here in the wings. Now we're going to begin just by chatting about Pet Proov, as this is quite a new addition to the dog world, but indeed a very exciting one that's just been in The Guardian. Kate, do you want to give an explanation?
Yeah, absolutely. So about 5, 6 years ago now, nearly, my partner and I decided that we were going to get a dog after I'd spent almost my entire life being a cat person. But for emotional reasons, I decided not to get another cat and we moved into the dog world. And I'd always imagined myself with a golden retriever. I had friends and family who had goldies, so I'd had a lot of interaction with them. And when I spoke to them, they said, the best thing to do is really go online, find yourself a reputable breeder. So that's exactly what I did. I turned to Google, I typed in golden retriever breeder. I must have sifted through hundreds and hundreds of different websites, but one particular website caught my eye. I have a design background, so I was impressed by this particular website because the photography was great, the branding was great, the tone of voice on the website was very authoritative. It came across as if this breeder really knew what it is that he was talking to, and I was absolutely sold hook, line, and sinker into getting one of his litters. So I did exactly what the website told me to do. I emailed him, and within an hour, I'm going to say, this guy rang me. He told me that he was having a litter in December of that year and that they would be ready to pick up by February. So I said, great, what's the process? And he began to explain to me that, there is a very rigid process of selection and that it depends on me. So I had to tell him what my story was and my background. And at the end of doing that, he said, okay, great, sounds good. You're a good fit. And here's my bank details. I need a £500 deposit from you. So that's exactly what I did. I transferred him £500. Fast forward to February 2020, and we're maybe 2 days away from picking up our soon-to-be Milo. the golden retriever. I'm very excited to have spent the last few months researching, training, subscribing to the best food, registering with a vet, buying the toys, getting ready to crate train, bought a brand new lead and a collar, and really had gone to a lot of effort and spent an enormous amount of money in preparation for bringing this dog home. And it was about 5 o'clock in the morning. I remember this as if it was yesterday. I woke up to an email with his name in my inbox, and it literally said, "Dear Kate, sorry to tell you this, but your dog has died. It
Yep.
ate some plastic.
Oh
Do
my
you want
gosh.
do you want a girl?" Was how
Yep.
he signed this email off. So I looked at my partner and I said, "Look, that is the weirdest email
Mm.
I have ever received. How on earth has a reputable breeder managed to allow their young pups get hold of plastic, and not let alone get hold of plastic, but also die from sort of eating it?" It was a very strange interaction. Obviously, humongous disappointment. Um, and so I replied to him and said, "No, I'm really sorry. We don't want a girl, but please send, my deposit back. I'm really sorry to hear that this has happened."
Mm.
And he
And
disappeared.
did you get the money back, Kate?
I did not. He disappeared into
Oh.
thin air. Yeah. Within 24 hours, the website had come down.
Oh.
His mobile number that was on the end of his email addresses and that he called me from was disconnected. He wasn't responding to my emails. He really just vanished into thin air, which is part and parcel how we ended up starting Pet Proov. So I'm just going to fast forward really quickly to a couple of years ago when I was actually working for one of the UK's biggest pet listing sites.
Right.
And whilst I was there, I realized I was not alone, and actually that many people had been scammed out of money, far worse than £500, well into the thousands and thousands of pounds, and also had acquired animals who'd been very, very sick and had later found out that they had come from, horrific puppy mills. So I realized that actually this is an industry that is absolutely plagued with scams and bad practice, and there's a real lack of transparency for the public around like what does good look like when it comes to breeding or even adopting an animal. Garry and I have actually worked in a previous company together. We worked in an industry that was very heavily regulated, the conveyancing industry, where we were very used to dealing with technology in a kind of in a regulated space with lots of rules. And I rang him and I said, "Garry, I've had this idea. I think we could use the technology that we've been using to identify people who are moving house in the pet world. And here's my research and here's my own experience. And I really think that we can build something incredible to tackle the problem at source, make pet ownership safer, more transparent, fairer, and ultimately make it, put the animals at the center of this and make their world that much better."
No, absolutely brilliantly. I mean, I love all of this, but obviously this has been going on. I'm going to bring Ira in now. Ira, on hearing that story, what are your initial feelings?
It's terrible. I'm not surprised, but it's horrible to hear. And of course, this, I'm guessing, has come. I'm sure it's been going on for a while, but I think sadly, sort of during lockdown, when so many people decided they wanted dogs and the prices were going up and up, it was open to the pet industry, or was open to this because so many people just wanted dogs and were paying, a lot of money. Dogs went up from £500 to £1,000 to I think £3,000 and £5,000, which is just crazy. So unfortunately, with that, you're gonna, I guess it's going to attract the sort of nasty aspect of people that are willing to take advantage of that. And I just wondered, Kate, when you were looking, did you look at kennel club registered breeders? Because I'm wondering if kennel club breeders would be a safer option.
Yeah, so good question. I didn't directly look at the Kennel Club site, but he was Kennel Club registered on his website. So he'd made out that he had an enormous amount of accreditation. I mean, now I know he had none. So I think that's the other side of it, is the public really trying to educate themselves on what accreditation breeders should have, and if they do have Kennel Club, if they are Kennel Club registered, that they actually do check with the Kennel Club.
Perhaps the Kennel Club should be checking, a bit more, because this must be affecting the Kennel Club as well, I would have thought.
There's definitely that argument as well, yeah.
Definitely. And perhaps the Kennel Club should be looking into people that are using their accreditation or their logo on their sites, because that must be a huge problem. And I think there has been stuff out there about not paying money online, and and to animals. And I think the problem is puppies of photos of cute puppies are emotive, and people see them and they want them, and I just think we all have to be very mindful of not turning animals into commodities, and keeping those prices down, not allowing these, there's no tax being paid. They're unscrupulous breeders. There's no tax being paid on this money. HMRC aren't interested, as far as I can see. And it's really sad. People like yourselves, who've probably worked really hard to save that money, are just being literally robbed blindly, because it is blindly. You're not meeting anyone. So maybe it's something that the Kennel Club should be looking into as well.
No, it's a very good point. I think Garry hit the nail on the head. I think online sales of puppies, everyone's been saying,
and
don't
kittens.
do it. And kittens. Well, I found out recently, even, what are they called again? These little reptiles I'm doing some work with the moment. Axolotls. You can buy them online as well. Couldn't believe it.
Animals should just not be allowed to be sold online. It's dangerous. I mean, apart from the fact you're being scammed, we know that we're getting calls from people that are bringing home potentially dangerous dogs into their homes, and then they're sort of stuck with them, and there's no regulation, and it's just so dangerous and unscrupulous. The whole industry just really needs rethinking.
Well, you're on the front line, Ira, because you're actually picking up the pieces of people that have bought a dog on the internet and it's all gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of times it goes right. I'm sure there are a lot of people that do, and it can work out,
Yeah, well, absolutely. But the problem is, when you are buying a dog like this, and this goes back again now to Pet Proov, really, the thing is, for a long, long time, we've known about puppy farming as being a very cruel industrial process of bringing dogs out and selling them for a huge amount of money. They've cost nothing to raise. They're churned out mainly in the Republic of Ireland and in Eastern Europe. But, Ireland's very close to our shores comparatively. So there's a big puppy smuggling business that then has thrived, I think, exploded during lockdown, because no one could go anywhere. So the only way you could get a dog or get anything at all, was over the internet. So I think this has raised the game on all of this a lot more. It's been going on for so long, this puppy farming business, and it's so evil, and it is so greedy, and it earns something like 200 million euros in tax money a year in Ireland. So it's about how can we penetrate all of this? How can we stop all of this? So, Garry, explain a bit about the technology behind Pet Proov and how it's really focusing on, would you call it verification or
Definitely. I think what we're trying to do at Pet Proov is ultimately make it impossible for bad actors to operate. So all the technology exists out there today, and people use similar technology in their day-to-day lives with open banking, when they're registering for a bank online. We use that type of technology. And what we're trying to do is really focus in on the individual that you're trying to, get the animal from. So we're trying to prove their identity, and basically stop this kind of sales of lies, that remove any fake breeders and bad actors. So what we're doing is we're using ID verification. So on the mobile app, you will tell us who you're trying to get the animal from. The app will automate that process. That breeder will then scan their, let's say, driving license or passport, and we will validate if that is a real document. We'll then do a biometric face check, and that's super important because we're making sure that the person carrying out the checks are a real human being and that they match the photograph in the document that we've already validated. And then we're going to do things like a proof of address as well to make sure the address that you're going to visit, and again, the app will educate the buyer on what to do, is exactly where that person lives, and just make it really hard for them to operate if they are running a scam. We also collect evidence as well around vaccination records, microchip information, and then all of that is then presented and calculated into a risk score. So we can't pass or fail, but what we do is give a low, medium, or high risk score based on that individual on the checks that we've carried out. And the rest of the app is about educating that person on why it's a high risk. We don't say exactly why they failed, for example, because we don't want that person to get better at their scam, but we talk the buyer through all the things that they need to be careful of based on the information that we've been presented with, so they can make that informed decision.
Okay, so that's obviously checking the breeder, isn't it? So for somebody checking a picture of a golden retriever and backtracking to that person that bred it. But what about, say, in Ira's case, where, I mean, Ira, it's a huge responsibility, particularly, I think, for you, because you're rehoming dogs that have had a bit of a bad time. So you really don't want them to have a worse time by ending up in a horrible home, putting it bluntly. So there's so many checks. I mean, recently something's completely different. I'm not going to mention anything about it, but something has crossed my own radar where I'm actually questioning who somebody is, which is really the first time I've ever done this. And I'm thinking, is this kind of like paranoia also being fueled a bit by this conversation that's out there with verification, authentication, and all of these things? Do you know what I mean? Are we fueling it somehow?
Yeah.
I think it's important that, if you're not a bad actor and you're operating genuinely, it's very easy for you, and it takes 3 minutes to do. It's not intrusive, and it's a very little effort to do, to give, to instill trust in the people that you're working with.
So how else, Garry, can this technology be used for the betterment of dogs? I mean, can it actually help dog breeders and rescue centres check that the people who want to buy their puppies or rehome a dog are who they say they are?
Yeah, definitely. So we're not just trying to check individuals like breeders. So the app works for both buyers and people looking to adopt animals too. So, and whether you come to us looking to verify a breeder and you're a buyer, you're going to have to verify yourself too. So it works both ways. And for people looking to bring animals home from a shelter, that information is there, and we can carry out the same checks on those individuals too, to make sure they do live in the house they say they do if they're taking home an animal, to make sure it's the right environment for that animal specifically. So the app today will kind of solve those problems too. And then ultimately, it's the data that we get from that too. So we can then start to track people, animals from when they're bred, when they go home to their first home, if they get rehomed. We can track them over that lifetime through their microchip information. And at scale, we can start to build out trends from analytics to show, are breeders operating the right way? Do those animals end up in a shelter? Do they end up at the vet for a certain issue? And you'll be able to see that over time, over the life cycle of an animal. So the data is going to be fundamental for the industry to change at scale.
Oh, that's so interesting. So you can actually monitor health as well.
Yeah, definitely. We want to work with every single touch point in the industry. So the vet information is going to be crucial to that. Again, everything today is tied back to the microchip. So that data exists out there in silos. And our mission is very much to bring that all into one place that people can query and question and pull out the different trends that we have today. Not just the big reports that get put out every kind of 1 to 2 years. It's there in real time, up to date. And I think that's what we need to make a significant change.
So for example, if I could just say, we had a dog that came in today. She was a female Yorkshire Terrier that was still lactating, which means her pups were just taken away. She was handed into the dog wardens. She has a foreign microchip, but she's probably been here for years. She's probably about 7 years old, so has probably had 2 litters a year. She's microchipped, but we cannot trace that chip back to an owner. So these people have probably earned £50,000 from this particular dog. She'll now cost us as a charity £2,500 to sort out, because she's in such a terrible state. How could your checks help locate that particular breeder or seller? I won't call them breeders, I'll call them sellers.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that's where we need to get to. So because the only thing the platform relies on is scale. So the more people that use the platform, the better. That means we're capturing the microchips as early as possible. And that's why we think things like breeder registrations, and I know in this case it's more of a seller, but breeder registration is going to be crucial. So not just the commercial breeders, anyone that's breeding an animal should go through a certain digital touch point so we can capture that at the beginning.
And but people that are unscrupulous aren't going to want to do this because they're not going to want to get caught. That's the problem.
No, exactly. And so the more people we have using the platform, the more the expectation of the public is going to change. So if they're not in the platform and they can't verify themselves, then the buyer education is going to say no, and the high risk score is going to put them off. And so you're completely right. Overnight, this doesn't change. But what we can do is automatically give the high risk when working with that individual. But over time, we'll be able to root them out. And again, it will make it it won't be worth doing the scam because the amount of time you're going to have to go through it, you're going to have to keep data up to date. If you are trying to scam the system, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to get anywhere to be convincing. So I think at that point, it's about changing the expectations of the buyers. And that's very much what our mission is. And we believe we can do that in the next kind of 2 to 3 years once we get the scale.
Can I just ask, going back to your dog, Kate, the guy, when you lost your money, was there any help? I'm presuming naturally that you would have tried to report it to the police or trading standards or the site that you got it from. Was there any help, or was that it?
So the site was pulled down. The police weren't interested because it was £500, so it was less than what they were expecting. Shelters are not interested in scam artists. No. And because it wasn't a listing site, there wasn't a customer support number that I could call to report this. So I was very much sort of on my own. Yeah, exactly. Which I find, or Garry and I found in our research, a lot of people who have been scammed are very much left on their own with not very much education on what it is that they can do next. And what we have built in our app is the ability to report any fraudulent activity to Action Fraud. So we feel like being able to help at least highlight that maybe there is fraudulent activity through people exchanging animals, I think is really important as well.
Oh, Kate, gosh, I mean, that Action Fraud feature sounds really interesting because it is that feeling that you've been scammed, it's really horrible. And the disappointment, obviously, and just a sickening feeling, really. It's just a really sick thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah. It is, yeah. It is.
And I think the app will be there to support them too. So we have a lot of educational content in there. So not just reporting it, but what happens to them as an individual, are there groups they can get in touch with? We kind of want to be there through that journey too.
Yeah, and there's something else that I read up about on Pet Proov, which I found interesting, is how the app can actually help local authorities really up their game on licensing and regulating breeders in, obviously, different local councils around the country. How would that work?
Yeah, so I think one thing that we're working on is the breeder registration platform. So it's underpinned by the Pet Proov technology with the verification, but it's an end-to-end platform for local councils to use to help people register when they want to become a breeder. And that's not commercial breeding. That is any kind of touch point, any scale. So they'll go through the app called IHA, they'll go through the Pet Proov verification process, and they'll get their dedicated breeder registration number, which is then tracked. We then allow the councils to track the litters. We can do the reconciliation of how much they're earning from those litters too. So whether or not they need to be promoted up into a commercial license, and that data can be queried by the local council. It's completely free for them to use. For the council to use, the person submitting the registration would pay a small fee for the Pet Proov check. But yeah, it gives them access to their data in real time. And most importantly, that data is anonymized, but can be viewed across councils too. So they can start to see how they perform against other council areas, if there's certain trends they need to be looking out for. And most importantly, because they've been through the Pet Proov check, we have the identity of that individual. So we have a biometric check on them. So if they pop up in another council trying to do something similar, you can't hide your face. So we've seen them before, and we'll be able to flag that to a council.
Okay.
Extraordinary. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds really James Bond a bit to me, but so different from just, back in the day when, you wanted a dog and you went, generally did go to a rescue. The internet didn't exist, so that wasn't an option. You knew through word of mouth, really, or you
went to a breed, like a kennel club registered breeder or something,
that's it,
and you went to the farm and picked your dog up, and those breeders may have been a bit stricter back in the day. I don't know,
I think it comes back to your point about online sales and the pitfalls of online sales of animals. But as far as we see, that's not going anywhere. It's only going to increase. And so the technology in the space is desperately needed. And that's why we started it, because the technology exists today, and Pet Proov we're on our, early in our journey, but we're here to solve that problem.
I love it. Garry, it sounds really, honestly, how are you getting the message of Pet Proov out there for budding dog owners to maximize right now, or budding dog breeders who really want to be registered with you, so maybe they could have a stamp on all their websites saying Pet Proov approved or something, or we're Pet Prooved, which will be a kind of seal of endorsement.
Yeah, so I think for us, we're trying to get our kind of message out there in as many ways as possible. But there's kind of three kind of stages to this. The first one is kind of our B2C advertising. So we're running a lot of kind of social media campaigns directly to what we're calling the buyers in this scenario, to just educate them on the pitfalls and the scams that are out there. And if they want to use our app, perfect, that's great. But we're just trying to run educational pieces at the moment, especially kind of in this kind of run up towards like the Christmas period. We're really trying to make people understand and just think, to be able to make those informed decisions. And again, we're here to support them if we can with that. The other one is working through kind of government bodies, working on different projects like the app called IHA. So again, making sure that we can provide technology for already existing projects. So that's been worked on for a long time now. There's a lot of great science behind it, but the technology was needed to bring that to life. So that's another thing that we're doing. Same with the shelters. We built a platform perfectly for shelters to use to help get people verifying themselves and getting animals into the right homes quicker. And then with listing sites, we're going out to as many listing sites as we possibly can and saying we are here for them to use. We can embed us into their kind of onboarding listing journey. So before an animal goes onto the website, they can go through the Pet Proov process. And again, they're going to lower the risk of putting any bad actors into their platform. So we're trying to basically go end to end. Anyone that's involved in the kind of transaction of an animal, we're here to help them, and we have a solution for them.
And you've got the big international agency 4 Paws involved with Pet Proov. Kate, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. 4 Paws has been an incredible charity working alongside us. They are obviously a very well-respected charity amongst kind of the animal welfare charities and bodies.
Well, they're global, aren't they? They cover a huge aspect, all animals, isn't it?
Yeah, all animals. And they've just, produced this incredible report on licensing and unregulated breeders and the chaos that's kind of bringing to the industry. And we met and we had a great chat, and there's a lot of alignment in what it is that we're doing and how they see us as a potential solution. So they're backing us massively to bring that trust and accountability to sort of pet sales. And we have a shared mission, which is ultimately to stop cruelty and illegal breeding. And I think that's very important that we align with lots of people who share that mission and who are dedicated to try and change this industry for the better. And ultimately having, 4 Paws and some other incredible charities like Nature Watch, kind of having them support us helps us ultimately scale and have a huge impact beyond the UK.
Yes. And what about, Ira here? Now, in terms of, have you ever, Ira, been a bit in doubt, because about somebody?
Yes.
Thinking, well, are you really up to, rehoming this Frenchie?
Yeah. I mean, we get obviously dozens of calls a week, and there isn't really a science to rehoming, but there is a science to rehoming, which if you've been doing it for a long time, you sort of pick up on certain things. And traditionally, most charities used to sort of do home checks before dogs got adopted. But again, when lockdown came in that all had to stop because you couldn't go to people's houses. So you'll find most charities now are doing home checks by sort of virtually, by sort of calls, Facebook, FaceTime or WhatsApp or whatever, calls. And then how we do it is they then with that have to show a matching utility bill to the rehoming form that they've sent in with their property. You can't always get it right. So we, for example, rehome 300, let's just say roughly 300 dogs a year. Out of that 300 dogs, you'll probably get a 1% return rate, which is sort of the average. A couple of times dogs have gone out and it hasn't worked out. It's a very small percentage, but of course it can happen. So yes, if with a tool like Pet Proov, that certainly could help eliminate the chance of that possibly happening. We have a lot of people that have come back, they've had dogs from us before, or we know, and they're local. So, I'd say more out of 9 out of 10 times it's fine. Invariably it is. However, you only need one case of it going wrong, which is one too many,
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, it must be difficult. I mean, it is about trusting your gut, I suppose, as well. And and maybe making it quite hard for them. You've got to come back again.
It's kind of almost like dating, I call it, that you almost try and put people off to see how much they really want that dog. If you make it too easy, you kind of, he's a lovely dog, but he's not house trained. He might chew your sofa. He might do this. He might do that. And what you really want people to say is, that's fine. My last dog did that. We'll work through that. That's what you're looking for. But that's, as I say, that's kind of an unwritten science on rehoming. But there's no actual proof, where something like Pet Proov is more scientific and can actually do the checks. So, but I think it's something that would need to be run across the board, of several charities for it to really get off the ground. And
I think that's a great example of how technology can help inform that decision. Obviously, you've got the experience to make those kind of gut feels as well, based on all the people you're speaking to, but also the technology in terms of verifying that the house that you're viewing on FaceTime is the right one. The app can do that for you, and then you can still make that call, and we can capture the information for you, maybe in a quicker way, so you can make those decisions quicker. And I think that's a really good example of how the humans involved are still going to need to be involved. We can just hopefully surface the key information sooner, so more animals find a loving home.
Yeah.
No, I think it's really needed, chaps. I mean, I'm really chuffed to be airing this podcast. I just hope lots of people listening will get on board and register from, all different sides of the fence here, because I think, I mean, you could even stretch this out surely to doggy daycare centres. How do you really know that person bringing that dog in that day is that owner, for example? I mean, where does
dog sitters?
Well, or dog sitters. I mean, don't. I mean, I'm paranoid as it is. I don't let anyone touch my dogs. I mean, it's like, so
I've heard horrific stories about a colleague of mine went online for a dog sitter. I mean, I personally would be a bit worried about doing this. Hadn't met them. They came over to stay at her the night before they were travelling. When they got back, a friend was a bit concerned that they hadn't seen her dog in the park. Went round there, and the guy that had moved in as this allegedly, I won't say the platform that he came from, but, quite a well-known sort of sitting company, was dog sitting. He'd moved into a house and had brought other dogs with him that he was sitting. What? So he'd used her house as a base to sit other people's dogs as well.
Yeah. Garry, can Pet Proov help with this?
So I think that there are always going to be these bad actors that are so confident they can get away with doing things like that. And I think,
but that's really scary. I mean,
yeah, it is.
I mean,
And I
that,
think,
to me, this makes me honestly want to pass out, because
yeah,
I would obviously won't mention any platforms. I actually didn't know about this till just now, but this is a real worry for, you know, bona fide loving dog owners in real time with their dog. So we're trying to actually navigate the here and now with our dogs, if you see what I mean, rather than going to, you know, help someone buy a puppy correctly in the future. There's a lot of people that are living in the here and now with unregulated dog walkers, you know, arguably dog trainers as well. But
yeah, dog trainers is another one, behaviourist dog trainer, you know, earning hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds and not a penny going back anywhere, you know.
But the dog sitting thing is really tricky. I mean, I don't go anywhere for this reason. I can't. I had a bad experience, and that's done it.
Yeah. And this particular person, her dog isn't great with other dogs. So her dog was probably shut in a room while the rest of the house was being used by the other dogs that this guy was dog sitting for, you know, in her house, in her property, without her knowing.
Extraordinary. I mean, the cheek of it all. I mean, what does it really say about the human condition at the moment? I mean, maybe this is something that we also have to look at. You know, what is going on?
Well, there's no regulation. The problem is all this stuff, buying online, dog sitting, training, it's unregulated. This is always been my gripe, that this kind of stuff needs to be regulated. And maybe Pet Proov, that's something they can, you know, you guys can work on doing, but it really needs to be regulated. Charities, you know, not charities. Someone can set up as a dog rescue, say they're a dog rescue. We have this all the time. There was a terrible case recently of this guy, you'd have heard, Anna, that said he was a dog rescue. He was taking all these dogs in, like more sort of dominant, you know, guarding breeds, and eventually no one would do anything. Eventually a neighbour got a drone to go over the house, and there were just dead dogs in the back of that garden. The guy had been picking up dogs, saying he was a rescue. He wasn't a registered charity. Had been taking people's dogs home, and half of them were dead. They were left there dead. He'd been fighting them.
Yes. So you see, I know the world of dogs, you would think it would be a lovely place.
No.
I think we all need to shape up to man's best friend, actually, at the moment. Oh, that's my little thought here.
Yeah.
And, you know, Kate and Garry, I think it's absolutely brilliant. And, you know, this is a major start. I mean, this is obviously potentially completely transformative. I think we just need to think about other aspects, like dog sitters. Are they really who they say they are?
Yeah.
You know, dog walkers, are they really who they say, and so on, and really expand it out. I think let's go for it, because the world of dogs needs 100%. It. Okay, brilliant.
All animal activity is on our roadmap, so we will get there eventually. We'll kind of move to each scenario once we kind of prove out our blueprint for buying and breeders and adopters. We'll move on to the next one as well. But yeah, there's no reason why any activity involving animals shouldn't go through our platform.
Great.
We're all sat here. We're all massive, you know, dog lovers. And, you know, dogs can't speak for themselves. So it's up to us to be able to protect them. The UK is a huge country of you know, dog lovers, but good people really struggle, you know, to know who to trust. And you know, Garry and I have built this platform to hopefully be able to help people understand what's right and what's wrong, and really sort of remove those unethical actors who are exploiting the system for profit and ruining people's lives and hurting animals, and, you know, build tools that both animals and responsible humans can benefit from. I think we need to hold people to account to raise the bar, which I think is really important. And I think, you know, I definitely think with conversations like we're having now, we can do that.
Oh, I really hope so. And you've got exciting news that I believe you're on television, Kate, next week.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. We are talking about how we started Pet Proov next Thursday on This Morning. So catch me on the couch. Yeah, very excited.
Exciting.
So let's hope everyone listening, please tune in. So that's ITV at about what, 10 a.m?
Exactly. Yeah, 10 a.m. next Thursday.
Amazing.
Next Thursday or Wednesday?
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday, everybody, not Wednesday. Well, look, thank you, Ira from All Dogs Matter. Thank you, Garry and Kate from Pet Proov. And look out, everybody, look out. This is the next big thing, Pet Proov. Thanks, guys. I hope you'll come back for updates.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Thank you. Oh, that's our show. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to rate and review the show because that really makes such a difference. Thanks again, of course, to Kate Margolis, Garry Clarke, and of course, Ira Moss for joining us today. All the links are, of course, in the show notes. Oh, and thanks to Mike Hansen, my producer, for all the music and production as ever. And don't forget, if you're interested in Antinol, you can type in my code, which is Anna Webb, and receive a special discount. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, because that way you'll never miss another show. Bye for now.